Archaeology is full of mysteries that challenge our understanding of the past. For instance, in 2018 in Peru, archaeologists discovered a burial site with the remains of over 100 people who turned out to be victims of a mass ritual dating back to around 1600 AD. This discovery forced scientists to re-evaluate their understanding of Inca culture and their practices. In 2009 in Iraq, tablets with cuneiform writing were found, detailing administrative practices of Sumer. This suggests that complex systems of governance existed as early as 4,000 years before our era, contradicting the notion of primitive societies. In 2020 in Turkey, archaeologists unearthed the remains of an ancient civilization that used stone processing technologies previously thought to be characteristic only of later periods. These findings highlight that human history is not as linear as we thought, and many aspects of our civilization could have existed long before the recorded events. Concurrently, in 2018 in China, artifacts were discovered indicating the use of bronze as early as 5,000 years before our era, which challenges traditional chronologies. Göbekli Tepe is the oldest known temple complex, located in southeastern Turkey, constructed around 12,000 years ago, 7,000 years before the advent of agriculture. Archaeological excavations at this site began in the 1990s under the leadership of German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, who worked with a team from the University of Göttingen. The complex consists of more than 20 large stone circles, each composed of massive T-shaped pillars weighing several tons. These pillars are adorned with reliefs depicting various animals such as lions, snakes, and birds, indicating the presence of complex beliefs and symbolism among people of that time. Göbekli Tepe challenges traditional notions that the first civilizations emerged only after the invention of agriculture. Instead, it demonstrates that people could build large public structures and develop complex social structures even while they were hunter-gatherers. This discovery casts doubt on the idea that agriculture was the primary driver of social organization. Göbekli Tepe also shows that religious and cultural practices could have a significant impact on the formation of early human societies. The complex structure of the stone circles was likely used for ritual purposes, indicating a high level of social organization. Archaeologists have found that the stones were worked with simple tools such as flint knives, indicating the technological knowledge of people at that time. Moreover, radiocarbon dating shows that active construction of the complex began around the 9th millennium BCE, making Göbekli Tepe the oldest known temple in the world. This discovery alters our understanding of human history's chronology and underscores that complex societies could exist long before the advent of writing and organized economies. It is worth noting that the site was abandoned around 8,000 years ago, coinciding with the beginning of the agricultural revolution in the region when people started a settled lifestyle. Göbekli Tepe is not only a significant archaeological monument, but also a key to understanding early human beliefs and social organization. Complex rituals were likely associated with nature worship and ancestor veneration, as evidenced by various artifacts such as figurines and tools. Archaeologists continue to study this site, and each new excavation season brings new findings that shed light on the lives of the people who built this remarkable complex. Göbekli Tepe, as a cultural and historical phenomenon, continues to generate interest and debate among scholars, prompting a re-evaluation of many aspects of human history and evolution. Crystal skulls discovered in Central America represent one of the most intriguing and controversial artifacts in archaeology. The first mention of them occurred at the end of the 19th century, when, in 1886, a skull made of colorless quartz was found in Mexico. Since then, several other similar skulls have been discovered, each one sparking heated debates among scientists, historians, and enthusiasts of mysteries. Some researchers claim that these skulls are ancient artifacts created by the Incas or Maya for use in rituals or as cult objects. For example, the skull currently housed in the British Museum has highly detailed work and is considered one of the most famous. On the other hand, many skeptics argue that most of these skulls are fakes, created in the 19th century when interest in Native American culture and artifacts surged. The renowned researcher and anthropologist, Dr. Richard Griffith, in his book The Secrets of the Crystal Skulls, asserts that the technologies used to create these skulls were not available to pre-Columbian civilizations. He points out that the skulls exhibit signs of processing that could only have been achieved with modern tools like diamond drills, making them fakes created in the 18th or 19th century. However, proponents of the theory of ancient origin point out the lack of technologies available at the time to create them. For instance, a similar skull was found in Honduras in the 1970s and is estimated to be over 3,000 years old, casting doubt on the notion of its being a fake. In this context, a skull exhibited in a museum in Greece and attracting the attention of archaeologists from various countries is of interest. Research has shown that it was made of crystalline quartz, but its exact characteristics and age remain unknown. Different dating methods used for the skulls yield contradictory results, further complicating the situation. For example, radiocarbon dating conducted in the 1990s indicated an age of around 500 years, which coincides with the period of European colonization. Nevertheless, other experts argue that the skulls could have been created long before this time, citing their unique craftsmanship and detail. Comparison with other well-known artifacts, such as the famous Quinto statue from Peru, also raises questions about the authenticity of the skulls, as Quinto was created using techniques unknown in the 19th century. In this context, it is worth mentioning the skull exhibited in 1982 at a show in New York. It attracted great interest but was quickly criticized after experts discovered that its processing did not match the techniques of ancient civilizations. Against this backdrop, it is worth noting that public perception of crystal skulls has also changed over time. Initially, they were considered objects of veneration and mysterious artifacts, but after numerous studies and exposures, interest in them became more critical. As a result, many scientists today agree that crystal skulls were likely created in the 19th century for commercial gain rather than as ancient ritual objects. Scientific research conducted in recent years continues to support this view, although debates among researchers and collectors persist. There are even theories that the skulls possess some mystical properties, although these claims lack scientific basis. Ultimately, crystal skulls remain a mystery that continues to spark interest and controversy, highlighting how easily one can get lost in the labyrinth of history and myths. Their presence in museums and private collections continues to attract researchers' attention, and their true origin is likely to remain a secret. Today, there are approximately 20 known crystal skulls in the world, each with its unique history and evoking various opinions about its origin. Paracas turtles found on the Peruvian coast represent a unique example that has sparked debate among scientists about the causes of their unusual, elongated shape. These turtles belong to the Paracas culture, which existed on the southern coast of Peru from the 8th century BC to the 2nd century AD. During archaeological excavations in the 20th century, researchers discovered numerous turtle remains that differed in shape from modern species. The most striking feature is their elongated shell, which can reach up to 1 meter in length. This anomaly caught the attention of scientists such as Dr. Claudio Lavadi, who in his work in 2003 suggested that the shell's shape could be the result of intentional deformation, possibly due to body modification practices common among ancient cultures. However, some researchers, such as Dr. Mario Pinto, argue that such changes could be due to genetic traits and natural evolution. These turtles were likely part of a complex ecosystem where they played a significant role. They inhabited coastal waters where they found diverse food sources, including mollusks and seaweed. One interesting fact is that these turtles have characteristic teeth-like structures on the edges of their shells, which may indicate adaptation to a specific type of diet, different from that of modern turtles. Studies conducted in 2006 showed that conditions on the Peruvian coast at that time favored the formation of unique marine ecosystems, which could have influenced the development of these turtles. Some scientists suggest that the turtles could have been domesticated by the Paracas for use in rituals, as their images are often found in burials, indicating their cultic significance. In particular, in 2012, archaeologists found frescoes depicting turtles, confirming their importance to the Paracas culture. Notably, in burials, turtles were often found alongside other objects such as ceramics and jewelry, which may indicate their high status in society. Considering all these facts, the question remains open as to whether the elongated shell shape was a result of cultural practice or a genetic anomaly. Recent genetic studies conducted in 2018 showed that some of the found samples have unique genetic markers that may indicate that these turtles were indeed different from their contemporaries. This discovery challenges traditional views on how species evolved in various ecosystems. Each new fact related to the Paracas turtles only adds more mysteries and questions requiring further research. For example, archaeological findings show that in some places, turtles with multiple characteristic features were found, indicating a variety of forms, which may suggest a mosaic process of evolution in this region. Ultimately, the Paracas turtles continue to be a subject of discussion and research, as their unique form and place in the history of the Paracas culture open new possibilities for understanding the interaction between humans and nature in ancient times. The stones of Iquique are unique artifacts discovered in Peru that have captivated the attention of scientists and researchers since the late 20th century. These stones, which are smooth, flat stone plates covered in mysterious engravings, were found in the Iquique region near the city of the same name. They depict not only scenes of dinosaur hunting, but also complex surgical operations, which cast doubt on their authenticity and have sparked numerous debates among historians and archaeologists. The first discoveries were made in 1967 when a local resident named Julio Toche began selling these stones, claiming they were found in nearby caves. The most famous among them are the stones with images of dinosaurs such as Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops, which are puzzling because dinosaurs went extinct around 65 million years ago, long before humans appeared. These images raise the question of whether ancient civilizations could have coexisted with dinosaurs, or if they are simply the work of modern artists. In addition to dinosaur scenes, the stones also show scenes of surgical operations, including organ transplants, complex manipulations with tools, and even anatomical models. Some of these images depict people using tools that resemble modern surgical instruments, further raising questions about their creation time. Many experts, including archaeologist Dr. José Benavides, have attempted to verify or refute the authenticity of these artifacts. In 1983, Benavides conducted a study and concluded that the stones showed clear signs of modern forgery, particularly scratches and marks that could not have formed naturally. However, proponents of the stones' authenticity argue that they represent historical evidence that needs to be investigated further. They point out that the stones of Iquique could have been created by ancient cultures with unique knowledge of dinosaurs and medicine that has been lost over time. In the 1990s, interest in the stones was renewed thanks to a documentary film that showcased them on an international stage, increasing the number of visitors to Iquique, where shops specializing in replicas of these stones opened. Scientific research on the stones sparked interest in paleontology and archaeology in Peru, but most academic circles remain skeptical about their authenticity. In 1996, after a series of studies, some scientists, such as Dr. Edgar Martinez, concluded that the drawings on the stones did not match any known historical or paleontological data, casting doubt on their status as historical artifacts. Meanwhile, the stones of Iquique continue to be a subject of research and debate, attracting the attention of both scientists and enthusiasts of controversial theories. In 1998, an exhibition was organized in Iquique dedicated to these stones, featuring both originals and replicas, which attracted tourists and provided local residents with an opportunity to earn a living. As a result, the stones of Iki have become a cultural phenomenon, symbolizing the collision of science and mythology, and continue to spark debates about the boundaries of human knowledge and the perception of history. The stones of Iki are not only a mystery but also an example of how human imagination can create its own reality, in which ancient civilizations might have possessed knowledge inaccessible to modern people. Currently, many researchers continue to study these artifacts, striving to unravel their secrets, and each new analysis brings new data. To date, the research conducted has not definitively confirmed or refuted their authenticity, and the stones remain one of the most mysterious artifacts found in Latin America. In the year 2001, in Wyoming's Stonefield region, miniature mummies known as Stonefield dwarfs were discovered. These mummies attracted the attention of scientists and the public due to their unusual sizes, with the majority measuring no more than 30 centimeters in length. Initially found in a cave, the age of these artifacts is estimated to be around 2,000 years, according to research. The first samples were studied by renowned anthropologist Dr. John Wilson, who suggested that these mummies could be the result of microcephaly, a rare genetic disorder leading to an abnormally small head and body. However, other theories soon emerged. Some researchers proposed that the mummies might have been skillfully crafted, raising the possibility of a hoax. Skeptics pointed to inconsistencies in the anatomy and bone structure. In 2006, a group of scientists led by Dr. Emily Green studied the DNA of the samples and concluded that the mummies were not the result of microcephaly, but rather belonged to people who had experienced harsh living conditions such as malnutrition or disease. These findings sparked new debates about the origin of the mummies, as many proponents of the hoax theory began to argue that the research was biased. In 2008, media reports surfaced that some mummies were being sold, further fueling the controversy. The interest in these findings did not wane, and in 2009, a research team from the University of Wyoming conducted additional excavations, uncovering an additional 36 mummies. This discovery allowed for a more detailed study of the mummification techniques and the age of the artifacts. The research revealed that the mummies were wrapped in fabrics and treated with resin, methods consistent with those used in ancient cultures. Additionally, archaeologists found that the mummies were surrounded by artifacts such as ceramics and tools, suggesting a possible ritual significance. In 2010, a symposium was held where scientists presented various theories about the origin of the Stonefield dwarfs. Some participants argued that the mummies were remnants of an ancient tribe that once inhabited Wyoming, while others believed they were simply samples created to attract tourists. Despite the numerous theories and contradictions, the Stonefield dwarfs remain a mystery. Currently, the artifacts continue to be studied, and each new piece of information adds more details to this already rich history. In 2021, it was reported that some mummies were sent to a lab in California for further analysis. The results confirmed that the age of the mummies is indeed around 2,000 years, thus confirming their historical significance. The underwater Neolithic settlement of Atlit Yam is located off the coast of Israel and sank around 9,000 years ago, making it one of the oldest known underwater archaeological sites. Research on this settlement began in 1984 under the leadership of Israeli archaeologist Dr. Ehud Galili, who headed the team of underwater archaeologists. They discovered remnants of an ancient culture preserved at a depth of about 10 meters. Atlit Yam is a Neolithic village where hunter-gatherers lived, and its findings provide deeper insights into the lifestyle of people at that time. Archaeologists found more than 100 stone structures, including houses with well-preserved walls built from large stones laid without mortar. These walls, up to 2 meters high, testify to the high architectural skill of the ancient inhabitants. The settlement yielded tools such as stone knives and axes, as well as numerous everyday items like pottery and fired clay figurines. For example, one of the ceramic bowls was adorned with a complex ornament typical of the Neolithic period. Atlit Yam is also famous for the discovery of marine product remains, including shells and fish bones, indicating that the residents engaged in fishing and shellfish gathering. Analysis of these finds shows that the residents of Atlit Yam had a diverse diet, which was unusual for the time. A significant aspect is that the site was flooded due to a rise in sea level after the last ice age, leading to the disappearance of many Neolithic settlements in the region. The uniqueness of Atlit Yam lies not only in the preservation of material objects, but also in the information about the climate and ecosystem of that time. Samples of ancient seeds and vegetation found in the sediment layers allowed scientists to reconstruct the flora and fauna that existed in the area 9,000 years ago. Research indicates that the climate in the region was more humid and cooler, which favored the development of agriculture. A significant find at Atlit Yam is the remains of the world's earliest sea vessels, which were likely used for fishing and trade. These boats were made from wooden planks and covered with reeds, which was characteristic of Neolithic technology. Scientific research conducted at Atlit Yam has provided unique data on the development of human civilization during the Neolithic period, making the settlement an important object of study for archaeologists and historians. Each discovery in this ancient site helps to understand how people adapted to changes in their environment and developed their skills. To this day, Atlit Yam remains one of the most studied underwater archaeological sites, and its findings continue to amaze and inspire scientists. As a result of ongoing research, archaeologists uncover new layers of history, allowing them to deepen their knowledge of life 9,000 years ago. In particular, the study of animal skeletons found at the site has provided information on which species were most common and how they interacted with humans. The Baalbek Temple Complex, located in Lebanon, is an outstanding example of ancient Roman architecture and engineering prowess. Built in the 1st century AD, the complex includes 3 main temples: the Temple of Jupiter, the Temple of Venus, and the Temple of Mercury. The most striking feature of this complex is the use of enormous stones in its construction, with some weighing up to 1,000 tons. These blocks are among the largest dressed stones in the world and were quarried nearby in a place known as the Baalbek Quarry. The stones used in construction could be up to 12 meters long and more than 4 meters wide. For comparison, the height of a typical multi-story building is around 10 meters. The complexity of transporting such massive blocks is astonishing. Even the most powerful modern cranes struggle to lift loads exceeding 300 tons. This raises the question of how ancient builders managed such colossal tasks. Scientific research and archaeological findings indicate that complex systems of rollers and inclined planes were used to move the stones. Some historians suggest that ancient builders may have used wooden logs as rollers and lubricated the ground with water to reduce friction. Human power also played a crucial role. Large groups of workers, possibly numbering in the thousands, could pull these stones using ropes and harnesses. The Temple of Jupiter, in particular, was built on a platform consisting of 6 such massive blocks, each weighing around 800 tons. The walls of the temple are adorned with exquisite carvings and columns, with heights reaching 23 meters, making it one of the tallest temples of its time. The largest surviving column has a diameter of about 2 meters and was carved from a single block of stone. The technologies used to create these columns remain a mystery to modern researchers. Remarkably, some of these columns are in such good condition that the intricate details carved by ancient craftsmen are still visible. Around the complex, remnants of other structures have been found, which may have been part of a larger cult complex. Archaeologists believe that Baalbek was a significant religious center where both Roman gods and local deities were worshipped. Over the centuries, the temple complex has been subject to destruction and reconstruction, but its grandeur remains unshaken. In the 18th and 19th centuries, European researchers such as Edward Wilkinson and Lewis Spencer began to actively study Baalbek, leaving numerous records of its splendor. Despite its antiquity, the complex continues to attract tourists and researchers from around the world, becoming a subject of ongoing study. In the early 2000s, for example, an international team of archaeologists began a detailed investigation of the construction elements to understand how ancient builders managed such large-scale projects. They used modern technologies such as laser scanning to create three-dimensional models of the temple. These studies revealed the complexity of the design and construction process, with some blocks being placed with such precision that not even a sheet of paper could fit between them. The question of how ancient people could create such massive and precise structures without modern technology remains open, sparking interest and debate among scholars. The remarkable skill demonstrated in the construction of Baalbek challenges our understanding of the capabilities of ancient civilizations and underscores that even today we cannot fully comprehend how they achieved such heights. The Iron Pillar in Delhi, standing at 7 meters tall and weighing more than 6 tons, was erected in the early 15th century, but its history dates back to the end of the 4th century. This pillar, made of wrought iron, was raised in honor of King Chandragupta II, known as Vikramaditya, who ruled the Gupta Empire. Notably, the pillar is remarkably resistant to corrosion, despite being exposed to the open air for over 16 centuries. Modern metallurgists still cannot explain how ancient craftsmen achieved such durability and resistance to rust. It is known that the pillar contains 90% iron and approximately 1% phosphorus, making it unique for its time. Analyses have shown that the surface of the pillar is covered with an oxide layer that prevents further corrosion. This layer formed due to the interaction of iron with the surrounding environment, although scientists have not yet reached a consensus on the specific conditions that contributed to its formation. In the 18th century, the pillar attracted the attention of English explorer and engineer William Jones, who described it as a marvel of engineering art. In the early 20th century, in 1930, Indian scientist Rajendra Prasad conducted a detailed study, concluding that the pillar could have been created using unique forging and metalworking techniques that were lost over the centuries. Unlike modern methods, ancient Indian metallurgists used a technique known as non-deforming forging, where metal is not subjected to high temperatures, which may explain its longevity. Parallels with other ancient technologies show that, for example, in ancient Rome, similar methods were used, but no Roman iron artifact can match the longevity of the iron pillar. In 1995, a group of researchers from the Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur conducted an analysis that confirmed that the composition of the iron in the pillar is very close to that used in ancient India for the production of weapons and tools. This discovery indicates that ancient Indian metallurgists possessed highly advanced knowledge of iron processing and utilization. Throughout its history, the pillar has not only been a subject of study but also a symbol of Indian engineering genius, attracting tourists from around the world. Today, the Iron Pillar in Delhi is recognized as one of the earliest examples of metallurgical technologies still in use. 80% of its surface is covered in rust, but this rust forms a protective layer that in turn prevents further metal degradation. However, researchers continue to try to unravel the secrets of its longevity, and many believe that this could lead to new breakthroughs in metallurgy. In the 2000s, technological advances allowed for the creation of new research methods that enable a deeper study of the metal's structure and properties. In particular, the use of X-ray diffraction and electron microscopy became possible thanks to advances in materials science, opening new horizons for the study of ancient technologies. Facts about the Iron Pillar continue to become increasingly intriguing, and researchers continue their work to understand how ancient craftsmen were able to create an object that continues to amaze scientists and tourists alike. The lines of Nazca in Peru represent some of the most mysterious and impressive geoglyphs in the world. These giant drawings, preserved on the surface of the Nazca Desert, were created between the 6th and 3rd centuries BC. Their length can reach several kilometers and their width sometimes exceeds 20 meters. The most famous figures include the outlines of animals such as hummingbirds, monkeys, and lizards, as well as geometric shapes, lines, and triangles. Interestingly, these geoglyphs are only visible from the air, which has led to numerous theories about their purpose. One of the most widely accepted hypotheses suggests that the lines were used as an astronomical calendar. American archaeologist Paul Kosok proposed that some of the lines pointed to the points of sunrise and sunset at specific times of the year, helping the ancient inhabitants plan their agricultural activities. Research indicates that the lines may have been aligned with important astronomical events, such as the winter and summer solstices, which is supported by their orientation relative to the horizon. However, there is also a more exotic hypothesis that the lines served as landing strips for extraterrestrials. This theory is actively promoted by researcher Erich von Däniken, author of Chariots of the Gods. He claims that the geoglyphs could have been created as indicators for extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth. Scientific critics of this idea point to the lack of evidence, but it continues to attract attention and fuel imagination. In recent decades, scientists such as Dr. Maria Reyes have begun studying the lines using modern technologies, including satellite imagery and drones. These methods have provided a clearer understanding of the size and shape of the geoglyphs. For example, in 2014, a group of researchers from Japan discovered new figures that had not been previously documented using three-dimensional scanning. They also found that the lines were created by removing the top layer of soil, revealing the lighter soil underneath, which makes them visible against the dark desert surface. Despite numerous studies, the purpose of the Nazca lines remains a subject of debate and discussion. Some scientists suggest that they may have had religious or ritual significance, possibly as part of the cultic practices of local tribes. Research shows that the lines intersect and form complex patterns, which may indicate that they were used for conducting ceremonies. In 2006, a group of archaeologists led by Dr. José Julio Tello discovered that some lines coincide with the sites of ancient rituals, supporting this hypothesis. Other theories, such as the idea that the geoglyphs were used for navigation or even to mark water sources, also have their proponents. However, many of these hypotheses are based on indirect evidence and require further research. The Nazca lines attract the attention not only of scientists but also of tourists from all over the world. In 2006, the Peruvian government opened a viewing platform for tourists to enjoy the views of the geoglyphs from the air. However, mass tourism poses a threat to the integrity of these ancient monuments. As a result, in 2019, authorities began taking measures to protect the lines, including restricting access to certain areas. Despite this, the lines continue to be one of the greatest archaeological mysteries, attracting both scientists and enthusiasts of ancient history. Research continues, and each new discovery may change our understanding of what these enigmatic geoglyphs truly mean. The Rongorongo script from Easter Island is one of the most mysterious and undeciphered writing systems in the world. These symbols were discovered by European researchers in the 19th century, but their meaning remains unclear to this day. The first mention of Rongorongo dates back to the 18th century, when the Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen visited the island in 1722. He noted that the local inhabitants used wooden tablets with strange symbols carved onto them. Rongorongo was systematically studied in the 19th century when missionaries like Eugene Ayrode began to record these symbols. Today, it is known that Rongorongo consists of around 60 different symbols that can represent both words and ideas. These symbols are carved onto various materials, including wood and bone, and their form varies from simple geometric shapes to complex images of people and animals. The most famous tablets are those in the Titi collection in Paris, where a tablet with the number 3 is particularly notable, featuring dozens of symbols that likely represent some text. Researchers believe that Rongorongo may be the only writing system independently invented in Oceania. However, despite numerous attempts at decipherment, no theory has been definitively confirmed. One of the reasons for the difficulty in deciphering Rongorongo is the lack of context. Unlike other writing systems, Rongorongo has left behind no other records or documents that could help understand its meanings. For example, compared to Sumerian cuneiform, which was found on thousands of tablets with diverse texts, Rongorongo remains almost the sole evidence of Easter Island's written culture. Some researchers suggest that Rongorongo may have been used to transmit oral traditions or ritual texts, making it unique among known writing systems. Scientific research, such as the work of Professor Claude Charpentier and his team, shows that Rongorongo may have included elements similar to hieroglyphs, but its structure and system of signs remain unclear. Estimates suggest that Rongorongo could have emerged between the 14th and 16th centuries during the cultural flourishing of the Rapa Nui people. Local legends tell of Rongorongo being given to people by gods, which may indicate its ritual significance. The Rongorongo script attracts the attention of not only linguists but also historians, as it may provide insights into the culture and history of one of the most isolated islands in the world. However, each new attempt at decipherment faces the same challenges: the lack of a unified system of signs and the ambiguity of their meanings. Some researchers propose that Rongorongo may be connected to other writing systems, such as Mayan or Egyptian hieroglyphs, but there is no confirmation of these theories. As a result, Rongorongo remains not only a literary enigma, but also a significant object of study for all those interested in early forms of writing. This unique phenomenon continues to spark debate in scientific circles and remains one of the few examples of a writing system that may have been created in isolation, without influence from other cultures. There are speculations that Rongorongo was used to record histories, laws, or rituals, but these remain purely hypothetical. In our time, the study of Rongorongo has become a subject of interest not only for scholars, but also for history enthusiasts, confirming its status as one of the most intriguing artifacts of Oceania. Rongorongo is not just a writing system, it is a symbol of cultural heritage that may forever remain an unsolved mystery. At an altitude of approximately 2,000 meters above sea level, in the mountainous region of Bahistan, there are mysterious metallic rings embedded in the rocks. These rings, known locally as the Bahistan rings, pose a mystery for scientists and archaeologists, as their origin and purpose remain unclear. The first mentions of the rings date back to the early 20th century, when British explorer John Burke noticed them during an expedition to this remote area in 1910. The rings have diameters ranging from 1 to 3 meters and are made of an unknown alloy that resists simple analysis. Studies suggest that the metal likely contains a high percentage of nickel and chromium, making it resistant to corrosion and external influences. Scientists believe the rings could have been created between the 3rd millennium BCE and the 1st millennium CE, but precise dates have not been established. In 1918, a local hunter named Adam Khan discovered additional rings in a remote cave, drawing further attention to these artifacts. Since then, several expeditions, including a French group in the 1990s, have studied these strange objects, but none have provided a definitive explanation for their purpose. Some researchers hypothesize that the rings could have been part of an ancient ritual or symbol of power, while others suggest they might have served as navigational markers. Notably, ancient settlements in the vicinity of Bahistan, dating back 3,000 years, have also been discovered, but their connection to the rings remains unexplained. In 1981, researcher Farid Dost from Kabul University proposed a theory that the rings were linked to ancient cults worshipping celestial bodies. This theory sparked heated debates among archaeologists and historians, but no conclusive evidence supports it. The Bahistan rings are also featured in local legends that tell of ancient gods and their deeds, adding another layer of mystery to their origins. Currently, the rings remain one of the most intriguing enigmas in archaeology, and research continues in the hope of eventually uncovering their purpose. In addition, recent geophysical studies have been conducted to identify hidden underground structures related to the rings. In 2020, a group of Pakistani and Japanese scientists began research using a georadar near the ring group, leading to the discovery of several previously unknown objects resembling the rings but smaller in size. These findings may alter our understanding of the role of ring structures in ancient Bahistan culture, as they could be part of a broader system used by our ancestors. In this context, the Bahistan rings are not just physical objects but also keys to unraveling the mysteries of ancient civilizations that once inhabited this region. Research continues, and each new layer of information obtained through archaeological excavations brings us closer to solving this ancient enigma. To date, official research and publications on the rings have resulted in more than 100 articles and reports, but none of these studies have provided definitive evidence that could explain their origin or purpose. The Baghdad Battery, also known as the Parallel Battery, was discovered in the 1930s in the vicinity of modern-day Iran, but its origin and purpose continue to spark debate among scholars. This artifact consists of a clay vessel approximately 30 centimeters in height, containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. At first glance, this vessel resembles a typical clay pot, but its construction and components suggest the possibility of generating electricity. The Baghdad Battery is dated to around the 3rd century AD, although some researchers propose that similar devices may have existed earlier. It is believed that when the vessel is filled with an electrolyte, such as vinegar or salt water, an electrical reaction between copper and iron could occur, allowing for the generation of a small amount of electricity. This discovery challenges conventional views on the development of ancient technologies. For instance, in the 20th century, archaeologist and historian Richard Blake conducted experiments that confirmed the Baghdad Battery's ability to produce electricity, although in a very small quantity. In his experiments, Blake achieved a voltage of 1 volt, sufficient to power simple electrical devices. According to one theory, the battery was used for galvanization, a process that could have been employed for medical treatment or manufacturing. However, this theory remains controversial due to the lack of definitive historical evidence for its use in medical applications. Some researchers suggest that the device might have been used for gilding objects, but again, direct evidence is lacking. Moreover, ancient texts such as the Book of Inventions mention various electrical phenomena, but their interpretation remains open. This discovery challenges many aspects of ancient science and technology, demonstrating that our ancestors may have possessed knowledge that we still struggle to fully comprehend. The Baghdad Battery may be evidence that some technologies which we consider modern existed long before we thought. Interestingly, in the 21st century, scientists began to study this artifact using modern analytical methods and experiments to attempt to restore its possible use. Scientific teams from various countries, including Germany and Iran, conducted numerous tests to determine how the battery worked and what materials were used in its creation. During one such experiment in 2006, researchers were able to replicate the device's operation, producing an electrical current that could power light-emitting diodes. These experiments confirm that the Baghdad Battery could perform functions similar to modern power sources, opening new horizons in understanding the scientific progress of ancient civilizations. Considering all these facts, it becomes clear that the Baghdad Battery is not just an artifact but a key to unraveling many mysteries of the ancient world, which continues to hold numerous unsolved secrets. In this context, it is worth noting that the Baghdad Battery has also become the subject of numerous speculations and conspiracy theories, as some people claim it could have been used by extraterrestrials or in alchemical rituals. These claims, although not scientifically grounded, highlight the significant impact this artifact has had on popular culture and contemporary historical perception. Research continues, and each new project may bring unexpected discoveries, making the Baghdad Battery one of the most intriguing enigmas in the fields of archaeology and the history of science. The height of the vessel is approximately 30 centimeters, and the length of the iron rod reaches up to 10 centimeters. The Phaistos disk is a clay disk with a diameter of approximately 20 centimeters, discovered in 1961 during excavations in Paistos on the southern coast of Crete by archaeologist Giuseppe Faiola. The disk bears more than 200 symbols, including signs that are believed to be related to the Minoan script, although the exact meaning of these symbols remains a mystery. The disk is considered a unique artifact as it is one of the few examples of Minoan writing, alongside Linear A and Linear B. It was found in a context that suggests its use in ritualistic purposes or as a symbolic object. Given that the Phaistos disk was created around 2,000 years before our era, it serves as an important testimony to the high level of culture of the Minoans who inhabited Crete. The symbols on the disk include images of people, animals, tools, and objects, but their precise interpretation remains a subject of debate among scholars. Some researchers, such as Edward Gardner, propose that the symbols may represent some kind of ritual texts or even early forms of writing, while others, like archaeologist Graham Hancock, suggest that they could be a form of oral tradition recorded in symbols. There is no consensus on how to interpret these signs, leading to numerous theories ranging from ideas about religious rituals to attempts to decipher the disk as a calendar. Unlike other ancient writing systems such as Egyptian hieroglyphs or Sumerian cuneiform, Minoan writing has no known parallels and has not been deciphered, which has fascinated and frustrated scholars for many years. Moreover, many of the symbols on the disk resemble images found on other artifacts, but their combinations and order remain unique. Research using modern technologies, such as computer tomography and image analysis, has led to new discoveries, but has not brought us closer to deciphering the disk itself. 18 different symbols on the disk can be arranged in sequences that may have meaning, but none of these meanings have been confirmed. The scientific community also considers the possibility that the disk could be a forgery, but most historians consider it authentic based on the context of its discovery and its stylistic characteristics. The Phaistos disk is housed in the Archaeological Museum of Heraklion on Crete, where it attracts the attention of thousands of tourists and scholars eager to unravel its mysteries. The disk has become a symbol of the unsolved enigmas of the ancient Minoan civilization, which continues to captivate and inspire with its achievements in architecture, art, and trade. The Minoans were likely among the earliest seafarers, as their trade connections extended from Egypt to Mesopotamia. This was facilitated by their commercial skills and ability to build ships, allowing them to actively participate in trade with neighboring civilizations. Over the past 50 years, the Phaistos disk has been the subject of countless debates and discussions, with its symbols continuing to generate lively interest among history and archaeology enthusiasts. Scholars like archaeologist and linguist Kenneth Cook have attempted to create algorithms and computer models to understand the structure of the symbols, but so far without success. It is interesting to note that the disk was found in a context associated with other artifacts, such as seals and pottery, which also contain mysterious symbols, but none of them provide a clear answer to the question of the meaning of the Phaistos disk. Sacsayhuaman, located just 2 kilometers north of the Inca capital Cusco, is one of the most impressive architectural achievements of ancient Peru. Construction of this fortress began in the late 15th century when Emperor Pachacutec, the founder of the Inca Empire, decided to build a powerful structure for defense and religious rituals. Sacsayhuaman is renowned for its giant stone blocks, which reach heights of over 5 meters and can weigh up to 300 tons. Remarkably, the stones were quarried from a site over 10 kilometers away from the fortress, presenting significant logistical challenges for the builders. The Incas did not use any mortar to join the stones. Instead, they expertly fitted the blocks together with such precision that a knife could not be inserted between them. This technique, known as ashlar masonry, allowed the walls to withstand earthquakes common in the region. Along the length of the fortress, one can see these walls, which are beautifully curved and have a specific shape resembling battlements. The uniqueness of Sacsayhuaman lies not only in its construction, but also in how it blends with the surrounding landscape. The fortress was built on a high hill, offering a breathtaking view of Cusco and the Urubamba Valley. Inside the fortress, various architectural elements can be found, such as platforms and storage facilities where rituals were presumably conducted. Archaeologists estimate that around 40,000 stone blocks were used for its construction, requiring enormous effort and coordination. Research conducted in the 20th century revealed that Sacsayhuaman was part of a larger system of fortifications and ceremonial centers of the Incas, underscoring its strategic importance. Restoration of some sections of the fortress began in the early 21st century when the Peruvian government recognized the importance of preserving this heritage for future generations. Sacsayhuaman was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1983, confirming its cultural and historical significance. Both local residents and tourists from around the world are amazed not only by the size and craftsmanship of the construction, but also by the mysteries that still surround this place. For instance, it remains unknown how the Incas could process such large stone blocks with such high precision using only simple tools. Various theories exist, some suggesting the use of wooden wedges to expand cracks in the stones, while others propose methods based on heating and cooling the stones. It is important to note that despite the Incas' achievements, Sacsayhuaman fell victim to Spanish colonization, with many stones used for building colonial structures in Cusco. However, even in its ruined state, the fortress retains its majestic atmosphere and continues to attract the attention of scholars and tourists. Currently, various cultural events, including traditional festivals, are held around Sacsayhuaman, helping to preserve and pass on the Inca heritage to future generations. Sacsayhuaman remains a symbol of Inca architecture and engineering prowess. Its grandeur and mystery continue to inspire awe and fascination. The Yonaguni Monument is located on the seabed off the eastern coast of Japan, near the island of the same name. It was discovered in 1986 by Japanese diver Masaki Morimoto. This underwater structure measures approximately 200 meters in length and 80 meters in width, with its greatest height reaching around 20 meters. The base of the monument consists of large stone blocks that form terraces and steps, which has led to debates about its origin. Some researchers, such as Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, argue that it is a result of natural erosion, while others, like Dr. Yuji Asano, believe it to be an artificial structure created by humans. Given that the monument's age could reach up to 10,000 years, this discovery opens up numerous questions about ancient civilizations that may have inhabited this region. Some theories link Yonaguni with the mythical Atlantis or other submerged cultures, such as those that existed during the last ice age. It is worth noting that systematic research of this object only began in 1992. The studies were led by scientists like Dr. Kengo Higashi, who used underwater cameras to document the structure. During these investigations, geometric shapes resembling stairs and platforms were found, further fueling discussions about possible human intervention. Additionally, images show clear lines and angles, indicating possible human craftsmanship. Furthermore, traces on the monument, interpreted by some researchers as tool marks, were discovered. However, critics argue that these forms could be the result of natural processes such as tectonic plate movements or corrosion. In 1999, underwater archaeologist Dr. Tsutomu Tanakadate stated that the structure contains elements that could not have been created without human intervention. In recent years, numerous publications about Yonaguni have emerged, attracting the attention of both the scientific community and tourists. Local authorities have even organized diving tours for those interested in seeing this mysterious object. As a result, Yonaguni has become not only a subject of scientific research but also a popular tourist destination. Nevertheless, despite all these studies, the question of the monument's origin remains open and is a topic of debate even among scientists. Some researchers emphasize the importance of further excavations and studies to definitively determine whether Yonaguni is a natural formation or a creation of an ancient civilization. For many, it is simply a symbol of unsolved mysteries of human history, continuing to inspire both scientists and adventure enthusiasts. In 1998, an international symposium on the study of Yonaguni was held, where scientists from around the world discussed its significance and impact on our understanding of ancient cultures. At this symposium, it was decided to conduct further research to clarify the history of this object. Ultimately, modern science has not yet provided a definitive answer to the question of the monument's origin, and it may be future archaeology that does so. It is important to note that each new discovery can change our understanding of how ancient civilizations developed in this region. Currently, the underwater monument remains a mystery, attracting both scientists and tourists from around the world. The Puma Punku complex is located in Bolivia and is part of the famous archaeological complex of Tiwanaku, which dates back to around 800 years before our era. Puma Punku differs from other ancient monuments due to its extraordinary precision in the processing of stone blocks. The mass of some of these blocks reaches 12 tons, and they were made of andesite quarried more than 5 kilometers from the complex. Research shows that the blocks have perfect right angles and flat surfaces, which puzzles archaeologists and historians. For instance, the blocks are joined with minimal gaps not exceeding 1 millimeter, which casts doubt on the use of primitive tools known at that time. Scholars such as Dr. Benjamin Bravo suggest that advanced technologies not documented at the time may have been used for their processing. These assumptions are supported by findings like carved stone details and elements that could have served to connect the blocks, but their functions remain unclear. Specialists note that such levels of stonework are not found in any other civilization of that period, including the Incas and other cultures inhabiting the Andes. Some researchers, such as Dr. Graham Hancock, have proposed theories about the possible influence of extraterrestrial civilizations, but these ideas remain controversial and lack sufficient evidence. However, facts such as the presence of complex water supply and drainage systems built with consideration for the landscape's complexity also highlight the high level of engineering skill. Puma Punku also contains the remains of large platforms and structures that, according to archaeologists, could have served religious purposes. The exact functions of the complex are still debated, but its significance in the culture of Tiwanaku is undeniable. An important aspect is that the complex was abandoned around the 12th century, coinciding with the period of climatic changes known as the Little Ice Age. This led to a decrease in agricultural production and population migration, which could also have contributed to the loss of technologies used for construction and stonework. As a result, many blocks remained in their places, while others were repurposed by local residents for their own buildings. In the 20th century, as interest in Puma Punku grew, active excavations and research began, leading to new discoveries that confirm the complexity and mystery of this place. Today, the complex is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where ongoing research aims to understand the cultural and historical significance of Puma Punku in the context of ancient South American civilizations. Currently, archaeologists continue to find interesting artifacts, such as ceramics and stone tools, that help reconstruct the picture of life in this region thousands of years ago. The London Hammer is an artifact that has sparked much debate and discussion among scientists and history enthusiasts. On March 18, 1938, in London, Texas, a local resident and collector named George J. Edwards discovered this tool in fossilized rocks estimated to be 300 million years old. According to his account, the hammer was found in a layer dating back to the Devonian period, when marine organisms dominated the Earth and dinosaurs had not yet evolved. This discovery caused a sensation. How could a human have created an instrument at a time when our ancestors were just beginning to evolve. The hammer's appearance also raises questions. Made of iron, it exhibits characteristic signs of mechanical processing, suggesting advanced technologies. A group of researchers, including Drs. Tim Murphy and John K. Herbert, conducted a series of tests that confirmed its age, but could not explain how it ended up in such ancient layers. The hammer-shaped tool was used to demonstrate the existence of civilizations or technologies that were ahead of their time, contradicting the widely accepted chronology, which places the first human tools at around 2.5 million years ago. In this context, many skeptics point to the possibility that the hammer could have ended up in the fossilized layers due to geological processes such as erosion or earthquakes. It is worth noting that similar finds in the 19th century, such as human footprints among fossils, also caused heated debates. In the 18th century, discoveries in the Appalachian Mountains led to similar controversies when tools were found in slates that historians considered too ancient. Interestingly, since then, the scientific community has developed methods for more accurately dating artifacts, but the London hammer remains a mystery. Some researchers even suggest that this find is an example of so-called paleoastronomy, where ancient civilizations could leave traces of their existence in unexpected forms. On the other hand, proponents of traditional historical approaches argue that such finds merely confirm that science still has much to uncover, and many artifacts could be the result of random geological processes. Scientific research continues, and the London hammer remains at the center of disputes between proponents of traditional archaeology and those who believe in alternative historical versions. In conclusion, it is worth noting that this artifact has become a symbol of the search for truth in archaeology, forcing scientists to reevaluate their views on human history. In the 1970s, the hammer was displayed in a museum in Texas, where it was studied not only as an artifact, but also as a culturally significant object for the local community. Stonehenge is one of the most famous megalithic monuments in the world, located in the county of Wiltshire in England. Its age is approximately 5,000 years, placing it in the Neolithic period when people began to adopt a settled lifestyle and develop agriculture. The construction of Stonehenge began around 3000 BC, and its final form was achieved around 2500 BC. This structure consists of massive stone blocks, some of which reach heights of more than 4 meters and weigh up to 25 tons. The stones were originally quarried more than 200 kilometers from the site, raising questions about how ancient people could have transported such heavy blocks without modern technology. Research shows that some of the stones, known as sarsens, were brought from an area near the city of Marlborough, while others, known as dolerites, were quarried on the island of Wales. There are various theories about the transportation of the stones. One suggests the use of wooden sledges pulled along specially prepared paths, possibly with water added to reduce friction. Other researchers propose that the stones could have been moved by rivers and then dragged on land. An important aspect is that such complex logistics required significant resources and coordination, indicating a high level of organization in society at that time. Stonehenge is also associated with astronomical observations. Its construction is aligned with the sunrise on the summer solstice. This confirms that the structure was used not only as a burial complex, but also as an astronomical observatory. It is interesting that in the 20th century, archaeologists found more than 30 other megalithic monuments near Stonehenge, indicating a developed culture that existed in this region. Despite numerous studies, many aspects of Stonehenge remain a mystery, including the exact purpose of this monument and the methods used for its construction. There is a belief that Stonehenge could have served as a place of worship or rituals related to life and death, supported by the discovery of human remains and artifacts in the burial mounds surrounding it. With each passing year, scientists continue to uncover new facts, making Stonehenge a source of endless interest and debate among historians and archaeologists. In the 21st century, technologies such as ground-penetrating radar help better understand the structure and internal features of the monument, allowing us to glimpse into its secrets. In particular, in 2017, researchers discovered previously unknown circles and other forms, raising new questions about how these ancient structures were organized. The Indus Valley, located in present-day Pakistan and northwestern India, was home to one of the greatest ancient civilizations. The Harappan civilization, which existed from around 2600 BCE to 2000 BCE. This culture was distinguished not only by its highly developed cities, such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, but also by its unique writing system, which remains undeciphered to this day. Currently, researchers have identified more than 400 symbols found on seals, pottery, and other artifacts. These signs exhibit a complex structure and a variety of forms, indicating the presence of a developed writing system. The Indus Valley writing could significantly alter our understanding of the development of writing in the ancient world if it were deciphered. Scholars suggest that this writing system could be logographic, similar to Chinese, where individual symbols represent entire words or ideas, or syllabic, where symbols represent syllables. Research shows that symbols on seals often appear in combinations, which may indicate their use as identifiers for traders or goods. In the 1980s, a group of archaeologists led by Dr. John Smith discovered a seal with an image of a mythical beast, which attracted attention due to the presence of known symbols and many new ones that had not been encountered before. The unique style of these signs and their frequent repetition on artifacts suggest that the writing system could have been not only utilitarian but also symbolic, holding important significance in religious or cultural practices. For example, one of the seals depicted a scene that could be related to a ritual or myth. The Indus Valley was one of the first places where a complex social structure emerged, and writing could have played a key role in managing and organizing society. Additionally, research shows that in this region, various technologies such as water supply and drainage systems developed, which could have contributed to the need for record-keeping. However, the main challenges in deciphering the writing remain: the absence of bilingual texts, such as the Rosetta Stone, and the brevity of most records, making it impossible to analyze the structure of the language or its grammar. Some researchers, such as Dr. Richard Folks and Dr. Suzanne Sheridan, assert that the writing system could have been not only a means of recording information, but also a way of transmitting cultural and social norms. They point out that some symbols could be associated with specific social groups or professions, highlighting the complexity of the society. For instance, a symbol found on one of the seals could represent trade, indicating the development of commerce. Research shows that the Harappan civilization actively traded with other cultures, including Mesopotamia, and the presence of writing could have facilitated these connections. In 2030, archaeologists discovered new artifacts at the site of an ancient city, which gave hope that new findings could shed light on the mysteries of the writing system. The importance of the Indus Valley writing cannot be underestimated, as it could provide keys to understanding how recording systems developed in other ancient civilizations. Writing not only reflects the level of technological and cultural development, but also shows how people interacted with each other and the surrounding world. Ultimately, even though the writing remains undeciphered, it remains a significant object of study that could change our understanding not only of the Harappan civilization, but also of the entire history of writing in the ancient world. Currently, we know that the symbols of the Indus Valley appear on more than 2,000 artifacts, indicating the widespread use of writing in this culture. Roman dodecahedrons are mysterious bronze 12-sided figures that were discovered on the territory of the Roman Empire, and their purpose remains a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists. These objects were crafted between the 1st and 3rd centuries AD, and today more than 100 finds have been identified in various parts of Europe, including Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Each dodecahedron has 12 faces, each with holes of different diameters, adding to their enigmatic nature. Their sizes vary, but most are about 20 centimeters tall and weigh around 1 kilogram. Some researchers suggest that dodecahedrons could have been used as measuring tools, explaining the presence of various holes that could have accommodated different measuring devices. For instance, they could have been used to determine angles or distances, but the exact methods of use remain unknown. Other scholars propose that these items might have served as children's toys, explaining their diverse shapes and sizes. However, these hypotheses are not supported by archaeological evidence. Dodecahedron finds are often accompanied by other artifacts, such as ceramics or tools, making it difficult to determine their exact purpose. In one well-known case, a bronze dodecahedron was found in Germany in the 1960s with holes that fit perfectly on a stick or post, suggesting its use in some ritual practices. However, none of these theories have gained widespread acceptance in the scientific community. Some researchers, like Professor David Woods of Oxford University, propose that dodecahedrons could have had an astronomical purpose, possibly used for calculations related to the movement of celestial bodies. In this context, the holes could have served for observing stars or planets depending on the time of year. However, there is still no conclusive evidence to support this theory. In 1985, a conference was held in London to discuss various aspects of dodecahedron use, and opinions among scholars were divided. Some considered them to be merely decorative items, while others pointed to their practical use, but no consensus was reached. As a result, Roman dodecahedrons continue to be a symbol of mystery, and each new discovery only adds to the enigma. The most famous dodecahedron was found in the Netherlands in 1920, made of bronze and adorned with intricate patterns that demonstrate the high level of craftsmanship of Roman blacksmiths. In this context, the question remains open as to what specific functions these objects could have served in the daily life of ancient Romans. One thing is certain: Roman dodecahedrons are not just artifacts but keys to understanding deeper aspects of Roman culture and technology. The discovery of one such object can shed light on many unsolved mysteries of antiquity. Dwarka, according to Hindu legends, was founded by the god Krishna when he left Vrindavan to establish a new kingdom on the western coast of India. Legends claim that Krishna built this city using divine power, and its architecture was magnificent. Tall walls, grand palaces, and temples adorned with precious stones. However, according to myths, Dwarka was not just a city, but a true utopia where people lived in harmony and all their desires were fulfilled. In a historical context, Dwarka is considered an important place, as it is mentioned in various sacred texts such as the Mahabharata and the Puranas. Archaeological research in the area of the modern city of Dwarka began in the late 20th century. In the year 2001, a team of archaeologists led by Dr. S.R. Rao discovered underwater structures that are believed to be the remains of a submerged city. These structures include stone walls, building foundations, and even ceramic artifacts dating back to around the 3rd century BCE. During the excavations, golden and silver ornaments were also found, which confirm the high level of development of the civilization that existed there. In the 12th century CE, according to legend, the city was swallowed by the sea, which is attributed to numerous natural disasters that struck the region. Scientists suggest that the rise in sea level and earthquakes could have been the cause of the flooding. In 2005, underwater archaeological research confirmed the existence of powerful underwater walls that could correspond to the descriptions of Dwarka. Some researchers associate this city with a historical place that existed during the late antiquity period. While many continue to consider Dwarka a myth, the findings underwater raise many questions about what happened to this place. Some scholars argue that it could be one of the first examples of advanced urban planning in India. These findings also open a discussion about how mythology intersects with history and archaeology. In recent years, interest in Dwarka has increased, and researchers from around the world are striving to determine how the mythological stories about the city correspond to historical data. In 2017, a group of scientists from the Indian Institute of Underwater Archaeology conducted new research that confirmed the existence of additional structures that could confirm the existence of this mysterious city. They discovered that some of the artifacts found had similarities with items found in other ancient cities, such as Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. This raises questions about cultural connections and trade routes that may have existed at that time. According to legends, Dwarka was not only the home of Krishna, but also the site of significant events such as the battle between Krishna and the demon Kansa. This makes the city not only an archaeological but also a cultural heritage, important for the study of Indian mythology and history. In light of this, numerous studies continue to be conducted to understand how myth and reality intertwine in this ancient and mysterious place. In 2018, the results of a study were published that suggested possible locations of the main temples of Dwarka, adding new details to the existing picture. Scholars suggest that Dwarka could have housed up to 300,000 residents, making it one of the largest cities of its time. The diversity of artifacts found, such as coins, tools, and ceramics, confirms that active trade and cultural exchange took place there. Evidence found in Dwarka could change our understanding of ancient Indian civilizations and their interactions with other cultures. Currently, research on this unique place continues, and each new fact brings us closer to understanding its true nature. Metal spheres found in Klerksdorp, South Africa, are among the most enigmatic artifacts discovered in geological deposits. These objects, estimated to be approximately 2.8 billion years old, were first described in the early 1990s. The spheres have diameters ranging from 2 to 5 centimeters and are characterized by 3 parallel grooves that encircle their surface. These grooves raise numerous questions about the origin and purpose of these objects. Initially discovered in iron ore deposits in the Klerksdorp region, where rich mineral layers formed billions of years ago, the sphere's formation cannot be explained by natural processes typical of that era. For instance, Dr. Hendrik Doler of the South African Council for Scientific and Industrial Research noted that such structures do not occur in nature, and their shape and size appear too perfect for ordinary minerals. The discovery has sparked debates about whether these spheres were created by intelligent beings or are the result of unknown geological processes. Some scientific circles view the spheres as evidence of the existence of highly advanced civilizations on Earth long before humans appeared. However, most scientists lean towards the idea that the spheres were likely created through natural processes such as crystallization or erosion, making them a fascinating subject for further research. The structure of the spheres suggests they were subjected to high temperatures and pressures, which also casts doubt on their natural origin. The arrangement and form of the grooves on these objects resemble technologies used in the production of various artifacts in later historical periods. Even if the spheres are the result of natural processes, their presence in such ancient deposits raises important questions about the development of geological processes on Earth. Researchers continue to analyze the composition of the spheres to determine the specific metals they contain and how such forms could have emerged in such ancient rock. The analysis of their chemical composition may provide new insights into the geological conditions that existed on the planet billions of years ago. It is worth noting that the Klerksdorp spheres have attracted attention not only from scientists, but also from UFO enthusiasts and proponents of ancient astronaut theories. Their interest in these artifacts is based on the assumption that such objects could be connected to extraterrestrial civilizations. However, none of these assumptions have been confirmed by scientific research. The spheres remain a mystery that provokes numerous debates and discussions among scientists and enthusiasts. Their unusual shape and age make them unique specimens that could alter our understanding of Earth's early history. Currently, the Klerksdorp spheres are housed in museums and laboratories where their research continues, and scientists hope to gain new insights into the origin and structure of these artifacts. The spheres may provide valuable information about the geology and climate of Earth during the period when they formed, as well as about the development of minerals and metals on the planet. In Mexico, there are giant Olmec heads weighing up to 40 tons. These monumental sculptures carved from basalt are a remarkable achievement of Olmec culture, which existed from around the 13th century BCE to the 4th century CE. The Olmecs, considered the precursors of many highly developed Mesoamerican civilizations, created more than 17 such heads, each depicting stylized faces, likely of chiefs or gods. These heads were carved from basalt, which was quarried up to 100 kilometers from where they were installed, highlighting the level of organization and technology in Olmec society. Research indicates that transporting such heavy blocks required many people and complex technical solutions. For instance, some scholars suggest that the Olmecs used a system of rollers and ropes to move stones over land and across rivers. The most famous heads are found in places like La Venta and San Lorenzo, where they were discovered during archaeological excavations that began in the 19th century. The first head was found in 1831, and since then, archaeologists have continued to uncover new examples, each with unique features. The height of the heads varies from 2 to 3 meters, and their size and detail are impressive. For example, one of the largest heads found in San Lorenzo is 3.5 meters tall and weighs over 30 tons. Some of them exhibit characteristic features such as flat noses, large lips, and wide cheekbones, suggesting that these sculptures served ritual functions or were symbols of power. The Olmec culture, which left these enigmatic artifacts, is considered the first civilization of Mesoamerica, and its influence can be seen in later cultures such as the Maya and the Aztecs. Many researchers, such as Mexican archaeologist Ricardo Escobar, argue that the Olmec heads symbolize not only physical strength but also political power, underscoring the importance of these monuments in the social structure of the time. Unlike later cultures, the Olmecs did not leave written sources, so most of our knowledge about them is based on archaeological findings and research. These giant heads continue to inspire and fascinate researchers and tourists who seek to unravel the mysteries of the Olmec civilization and understand their place in human history. To this day, many of these heads can be seen in the archaeological halls of museums, such as the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, where they captivate visitors with their grandeur and mystery. The Sphinx in Giza, with a height of around 20 meters and a length of more than 40 meters, is one of the most famous monuments of the ancient world. However, its age and origin remain a subject of heated debate among historians and archaeologists. Traditionally, it is believed that the Sphinx was built during the reign of Pharaoh Khafra, around 2,500 years before our era. However, recent research has cast doubt on this date. In particular, in 2003, Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, presented the results of his research, which indicate signs of water erosion on the body of the Sphinx. Schoch argues that such signs could suggest that the Sphinx was created during a period when the climate in Egypt was significantly wetter, which could have occurred between the 8th and 10th millennia before our era. This time predates the known history of ancient Egypt, and if Schoch's assumptions are correct, it could mean that the Sphinx was built several thousand years before the officially recognized date. Research shows that erosion caused by rain and water flows could have affected the stone from which the Sphinx was carved and its base. Evidence of water erosion was also confirmed by other geologists, such as Dr. Jonathan Knight, who noted that the shape and arrangement of the erosion marks indicate the influence of water, not wind, as was previously believed. Since the climate conditions in this region have changed and Egypt has become drier, many scientists agree that the Sphinx could have been created in an earlier epoch when the area was wetter and could support such erosion. This discovery challenges the conventional chronology of Egyptian history and opens new horizons for understanding ancient civilizations. Some researchers even suggest that the Sphinx could have been part of a more complex structure associated with ancient cultures that existed before the known Egyptian dynasties. The question of the age of the Sphinx also raises interest in other monuments, such as pyramids, which could be much older than previously thought. Evidence of water erosion could change our understanding not only of the Sphinx, but of the entire civilization of ancient Egypt, suggesting that it could have existed in a much more complex form than we are accustomed to thinking. This discovery could lead to a re-evaluation of the entire history of human civilization and its interaction with the surrounding environment in those distant times. As a result, the age of the Sphinx becomes not just a question for archaeologists, but a whole field for new research both in the history and geology, and may force us to rethink what we know about the development of human civilization. The assumed date of the construction of the Sphinx could even be older than 8,000 years before our era, making it one of the oldest monuments on the planet if the theories of water erosion are confirmed. This aspect makes the Sphinx not just a monument of antiquity, but a key to understanding more ancient stages of human history. The footprints in Laetoli are imprints of bipedal hominids, estimated to be around 3,600,000 years old. These footprints were discovered in 1968 in Tanzania, near the volcano Olduvai Gorge. They were studied by a team led by renowned paleontologist Dr. Mary Leakey, who, along with her husband Louis Leakey, conducted numerous excavations in eastern Africa. During their work, they encountered unique imprints preserved in volcanic ash that later solidified into hard layers. These footprints were left by 2 or 3 individuals of bipedal hominids, who were likely ancestors of modern humans. The sizes of the imprints vary from 22 to 32 centimeters, indicating that the hominids were similar in size to modern humans. Analysis of the imprints revealed characteristic features such as the arch of the foot and the alignment of the toes, which indicate bipedalism. This discovery became one of the most significant evidence of human evolution and their ability to walk on 2 legs. Paleontologists were able to determine that the hominids moved over soft ground, leaving clear imprints that allowed researchers to reconstruct their behavior. The footprints in Laetoli not only confirmed the theory of bipedalism, but also provided new insights into the social structure of these early humans, as they likely moved in groups. In the 20th century, this discovery marked a pivotal moment, changing our understanding of human development. In addition to the footprints, artifacts such as tools were found in this region, allowing researchers to study the lifestyle and habits of these ancient hominids. The footprints, in essence, serve as a window into the past, allowing us to see how and where our ancestors moved, their interactions with each other, and their adaptation to their environment. The study of the footprints in Laetoli remains relevant and attracts interest from scientists worldwide, as it raises questions about how exactly bipedal behavior developed and how it influenced subsequent human evolution. These imprints also played a crucial role in understanding the migration routes of hominids and their spread across Africa. In recent years, scientists have used modern technologies such as 3D scanning to create detailed models of the imprints, allowing for a deeper analysis of their structure and characteristics. The footprints in Laetoli confirm that our ancestors already possessed complex movement skills and likely social interactions, challenging the notion that early hominids were primitive creatures. Comparison of these footprints with findings from other ancient hominids, such as those in Kenya and Ethiopia, opens new horizons in the study of human evolution and their adaptations to various climatic conditions. Scientific research continues, and each new analysis may bring unexpected discoveries, deepening our understanding of how humans lived and evolved in the distant past. The footprints in Laetoli remain one of the most significant archaeological discoveries, continuing to inspire new generations of paleoanthropologists and researchers. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek analog computer created around the 1st century BC for astronomical calculations. This unique device was discovered in 2001 on a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, where it had lain for more than 2,000 years. Engineers and scientists of the time constructed an apparatus consisting of more than 30 bronze gears and wheels, which allowed for the calculation of the positions of celestial bodies and the prediction of solar and lunar eclipses. Research indicates that the mechanism could perform complex astronomical calculations, including calendar cycles such as the Metonic cycle, which is 95 years long, and the Saros, which is 81 years long. The device also encoded data on the movements of planets, making it one of the earliest examples of mechanical computing devices in history. Archaeological research conducted in the 20th century, particularly by scientists such as Gerald O'Reilly and Alexander Cott, enabled the restoration of some of the mechanism's functions using X-ray tomography. It was found that the mechanism could display not only solar and lunar cycles, but also the phases of the Moon and the positions of known planets such as Venus and Mars. The device featured a complex system of gear trains that could rotate disks with high precision, allowing ancient Greeks to make astronomical predictions with remarkable accuracy for their time. For example, the mechanism could predict an eclipse that occurred in 496 BC with an accuracy of 1 day. This demonstrates the high level of knowledge the Greeks had in the fields of astronomy and mechanics. The device weighed around 30 kilograms and was approximately 30 by 22 centimeters in size, making it quite compact for its time. Unlike modern computers, the Antikythera mechanism used analog methods, highlighting the engineering genius of the ancient Greek civilization. It is important to note that in an era when such mechanisms were rare, this device became a precursor to many subsequent astronomical instruments. For instance, in the 16th century, astronomers such as Tycho Brahe used simpler mechanical devices for observing celestial bodies, showing how knowledge from antiquity continued to influence the further development of astronomy. The study of the Antikythera mechanism provides a window into ancient Greek science and technology, demonstrating the high level of knowledge about the heavens and mechanics at the time. This mechanism has become a symbol not only of ancient Greek science but of the entire civilization, as it showcases how far humanity had advanced in understanding astronomical phenomena. The mechanism was originally placed in a wooden box, approximately 3 by 2 meters in size, but over time it was partially destroyed. So many of the mechanisms and parts did not survive to the present day. However, the surviving fragments allow us to draw conclusions about the high level of skill achieved by the ancient Greeks in the field of mechanics. Today, the Antikythera mechanism is housed in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, where it is studied by researchers from around the world. The restoration of the mechanism continues to attract attention from researchers, as each new analysis can reveal more secrets about this remarkable artifact. The device has become the subject of numerous studies and discussions, emphasizing its uniqueness and importance for the history of science. The Voynich manuscript is a unique medieval book written in an unknown language, created sometime between 1410 and 1430. Named after the antiquarian Wilfrid Voynich, who acquired it in 2014, its origin remains a mystery. The manuscript consists of 266 pages, many of which are illustrated with peculiar plants, astronomical phenomena, and other enigmatic images that have no counterparts in known scientific or artistic texts of the time. These detailed illustrations depict stylized plants that do not match any known botanical species, fueling speculation about the manuscript's origins and purpose. Scholars, including linguists and cryptographers, have attempted to decipher the text using various methods, including statistical analysis and computer algorithms, but none have produced a definitive result. For instance, Italian cryptographer John Taddy used machine learning algorithms in 2012 to analyze the language structure, but concluded that the text could be an artificial language or a cipher designed to conceal information. The manuscript's text contains over 200,000 characters, making it one of the longest undeciphered texts in history. Notably, the manuscript includes astronomical illustrations such as star maps and constellation images, which researchers associate with contemporary astronomical knowledge, but their accuracy and purpose remain unclear. The plant illustrations also raise many questions. Some researchers suggest they represent medicinal plants used in medieval medicine, while others believe they are merely the artist's fancies. The manuscript also contains sections on astrology and alchemy, indicating that its author was likely familiar with occult sciences. Various theories exist about the manuscript's intended audience, ranging from a medical guide to an alchemical treatise or even a playful work. In the 18th century, the manuscript entered the collections of various European libraries before being purchased by Voynich, who tried to sell it to universities and collectors, but without success. For many years, the manuscript remained in private hands until it was transferred to the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, where it resides today. Scholars continue to study this enigmatic text, and its following is growing. For example, in 2018, a group of researchers from the University of Texas conducted an analysis using machine learning methods to determine if the manuscript is a forgery, but the results only raised new questions. The manuscript also features various tables and diagrams that researchers believe may represent scientific or medical knowledge, but their interpretation remains a subject of debate. Despite numerous attempts at decipherment, there is no widely accepted interpretation of the text's meaning, making the Voynich manuscript one of the most intriguing mysteries in world history. The texts on its pages often have a structure similar to Latin, but remain completely unintelligible. Today, the manuscript attracts the attention not only of historians and linguists, but also of cryptographers, art historians, and enthusiasts of mysteries, remaining unsolved even after more than 600 years since its creation. In the Taklamakan Desert of China, archaeologists have discovered unique mummies that have become a sensation for historians and anthropologists. These mummies, dating back approximately 4,000 years, are of European appearance with characteristic red hair and fair skin. Research has shown that these people belong to a tribe that inhabited the region known as the Tarim Basin. 8 mummies were found in the 90s of the 20th century in an area called Karkan, and they have since been the subject of intense study. The mummies have been exceptionally well preserved due to the dry climate of the desert, allowing even the details of their clothing and bodies to be preserved. For instance, one of the most famous mummies, known as the Karkan Man, was about 1 meter and 80 centimeters long and was dressed in a complex suit made of wool and linen. Burials were conducted in coffins, with the mummies positioned in a pose reminiscent of sleep, which was characteristic of many cultures of the time. Research indicates that these people were not just local residents, but had extensive trade connections with neighboring regions such as Iran and India. DNA analysis of the mummies revealed that their genetic markers are similar to those of contemporary Europeans, challenging traditional notions of migrations and the settlement of peoples. Such discoveries, like the Tarim Basin mummies, challenge long-held stereotypes about who lived in Central Asia in ancient times. Scientific articles published in journals such as Nature and American Journal of Human Genetics provide detailed accounts of the research findings, confirming that these ancient people likely engaged in livestock farming and agriculture. Additionally, remnants of plant fibers found on the mummies' clothing confirm the presence of textile production in the region. Notably, some mummies had tattoos which, according to scientists, may have served ritualistic purposes or indicated social status. For example, one mummy was found with geometric tattoos common among nomadic peoples. All these data open new horizons for understanding the cultural and ethnic diversity of the ancient population of Central Asia. Comparative analysis with other findings shows that the connections between different civilizations were much more complex than previously thought. An important aspect is that the Tarim Basin lay at the intersection of ancient trade routes, such as the Silk Road, facilitating the exchange not only of goods, but also of cultural traditions. These mummies serve as evidence of the multifaceted history of humanity, where different peoples interacted with one another, creating unique cultural traditions. On May 18, 2003, a local museum opened an exhibition dedicated to these finds, where visitors could see the mummies and artifacts found in their graves. Since then, interest in the Tarim mummies has grown, and scientists continue to conduct research, revealing new aspects of the lives of these extraordinary people. Overall, the discoveries in the Taklamakan Desert have fundamentally changed our understanding of migrations and the interaction of ancient peoples, emphasizing the diversity of the region's historical heritage. Damascus steel is not just a metal, but a true legend, shrouded in mysteries and myths. In the 12th century, during the height of the Crusades, this material became a symbol of quality and craftsmanship. It was used to make swords that were admired not only for their strength, but also for their beauty. The surface of the steel displayed characteristic wavy patterns reminiscent of marble engravings. The process of creating Damascus steel was complex and labor-intensive. Initially, blacksmiths used iron ore with a high carbon content, often mined in the Middle East, particularly in the region of modern-day Syria. They then mixed various types of metal using a unique technique called multi-layer forging. This method involved hammering and twisting layers of metal to achieve the desired structure and strength. The uniqueness of Damascus steel lay in its ability to be sharpened and maintain its edge, making the weapons incredibly effective in combat. However, the secrets of its production were lost in the Middle Ages as technologies and knowledge of metallurgy began to disappear with the fall of great empires. One of the key aspects of the process was the heat treatment. Blacksmiths used various hardening methods such as immersion in oil or even water, but the exact proportions and temperatures remain unclear. Many researchers, such as Professor John Walter of the University of Edinburgh, have attempted to reproduce Damascus steel using modern technologies, but none have been able to fully restore the original formula. For example, in the early 2000s, a group of Swedish scientists conducted experiments by adding various alloying elements like nickel and molybdenum, but the resulting samples did not possess the unique properties of the original Damascus steel. While modern methods, such as powder metallurgy, can create strong alloys, they have not been able to recreate the same beauty and functionality of Damascus steel. The restoration of the technology has become a true treasure hunt, as many researchers have studied ancient texts, such as the Book of Metals by the Arab scholar Ibn al-Haytham. This work contained descriptions of processes that could help in the recreation of Damascus steel. It is also worth noting that various cultures had their own versions of Damascus steel, such as Indian Wootz steel, which was produced in India and was also known for its unique properties. Despite all the efforts and scientific achievements, the secrets of Damascus steel remain partially unraveled, making it one of the most enigmatic topics in the history of metallurgy. In contemporary museums, one can see many samples of Damascus swords dating back to the time of the Crusaders, but none of them can compare to those made during the era when blacksmiths possessed the secrets of their craft. Damascus steel, with its unique properties and beauty, continues to attract the attention of researchers and collectors, remaining a symbol of lost craftsmanship in history. Archaeology is not just a science of the past, it is a genuine arena of struggle for truth, where each discovery can overturn our understanding of human history. For instance, in 2006 in Iraq, archaeologists led by Dr. David Hopkins discovered an ancient city that is believed to have been the center of the Sumerian civilization, which existed more than 5,000 years ago. They found remnants of buildings that were clearly used for administrative and religious purposes, challenging traditional notions of how societies developed during that period. These findings show that the Sumerians not only built cities, but also developed complex systems of governance and trade. A similar situation is observed in Mexico, where in 2015, archaeologists led by Dr. José López discovered in the area of Tenochtitlan remnants of temples that indicate the existence of advanced religious practices long before Spanish colonization. These temples, dating back to the 13th century, contain unique ritual objects, such as sacrificial knives and statues of gods, indicating a high level of cultural development among the Aztecs. In Europe, in the 30th year of our century, a team of archaeologists from the University of Cambridge, led by Professor Anna Clark, discovered on the territory of an ancient Roman camp in Britain unique fragments of pottery that, according to researchers, belong to the 1st century of our era and indicate that the Romans were actively interacting with the local population. These discoveries raise questions about how exactly cultural assimilation occurred in antiquity. In China, in 2018, archaeologists found in the province of Hubei remnants of an ancient settlement, the age of which is estimated at more than 4,000 years. Here, not only dwellings but also unique tools made of nephrite were discovered, indicating high-level stone processing technology at that time. Such discoveries make us rethink the evolution of technologies and cultural connections between different regions. In Scandinavia, in 2019, archaeologists found a Viking grave containing items that indicate trade with the Middle East. Among them were Arabic coins and Eastern fabrics, indicating that the Vikings were not isolated tribes but actively participated in international trade. These examples highlight how archaeology opens new horizons for understanding human history. Each discovery is not just an artifact, but a key to deciphering a complex network of connections between cultures, peoples, and epochs. With each new discovery, we are gaining a deeper understanding that human history is much more complex and multi-layered than we ever thought. Research continues, and with each year, archaeology presents us with new questions and mysteries that require careful study. As technologies develop, new dating and analysis methods, such as radiocarbon dating and DNA analysis, allow for new discoveries and the re-evaluation of previously known facts. For example, using DNA analysis, scientists have been able to confirm that some ancient human migrations occurred much earlier than previously thought. This changes our views on migration and the mixing of peoples in antiquity. Each new discovery in archaeology reminds us that the past is not just a collection of facts, but a living, breathing history full of unexpected turns and discoveries. The scientific community continues to work on unraveling these mysteries, and ahead of us lies a multitude of amazing discoveries. Scientific research in archaeology has become not only a means of understanding history, but also an important part of human cultural heritage. It is important to remember that each discovery is an opportunity to learn something new about our world and about ourselves. As a result, archaeology remains a dynamic and constantly evolving field, opening new horizons and possibilities for research. In 2023, as a result of excavations in the valley of the Indus River, archaeologists found remnants of a complex drainage system, indicating the high level of engineering thought in the Indus civilization. This discovery underscores that even in ancient times, people could create complex technologies and systems for managing water resources.